Good morning and welcome back to my channel, Don't Mind Me. My name's Diana and today I will be reading part 2 of Maplebrook House. I hope you like it. This part will be shown on Sunday the 29th of October, so I hope you like it. If you'd like to see part 1, that it will be shown on Thursday. I will also leave a link in the description, but it will be read on Thursday the 26th of October. Here's part 2 and I hope you like it. Nothing much happened during the first weeks and months of living at Maplebrook House, except for the days getting shorter and the nights longer. The research on the house and its previous owners, which I had started not long after I had moved in and heard the first strange noises, yielded very little information, but I was determined to get to the bottom of the mysterious deaths of the previous owners, and if this house actually did hold a curse. Occasionally I would hear and see strange things which I just put down to my imagination, until one night, not long after I had turned off my bedside light and was gently beginning to drift off to sleep, I heard the strange noise I had heard a few times before. At first it appeared to be fairly far away, but as I slowly clambered out of bed to look out of the window, the strange noise would start to get louder, as though it was coming towards the house. As I gazed out of the window, my eyes slowly adjusting to the blackness of the night sky, trying to see what was making that strange noise, nothing was there. Suddenly the noise seemed to be coming from somewhere inside the house. I froze, my eyes still staring outside. I listened again, and yes, the noise was now definitely coming from inside, but how? I hadn't seen anything come up the hill or heard any front door open. Had whoever it was, sneakily stayed out of view and somehow got around the back of the house and come in that way? I just don't know. All I did know was that the strange noise had now definitely stopped, but there was still an ominous feeling of someone or something in the house. While I was making up my mind to go and investigate, the handle on my bedroom door started to turn. The door gradually started to creak open, little by little, until eventually there was a big enough gap for me to see who was coming into my bedroom. There on the threshold of my bedroom stood this massive jet black silhouette of a person with no discernible features, apart from two very large glowing red eyes. I tried turning away, but I stood frozen, rooted to the floor, unable to move. After what seemed like forever, I managed to blink. I looked back at the tiny open gap, and to my surprise and utter relief, there was nothing there. I slowly crept back to the warmth of my bed, millions of thoughts going round and round in my head. Had I imagined that thing standing at my bedroom door? Of course I had. Yes, I had heard stories and read books on this type of thing, but seeing one for real? I'm not sure. It was probably just my mind playing tricks on me. I had been working long hours researching the history of this house for days. That was it. I was just tired. I clambered back into my now cold bed. The only sound I could hear was the hypnotic tick-tock of my bedside alarm clock. It was no good. I just couldn't settle. I decided to get up and go and make myself a hot drink, hoping it would help me relax. I headed towards the kitchen, and as I passed the lounge, I noticed a strange stain that hadn't been there the previous night when I'd gone to bed. I went to take a closer look, but as I got closer to it seemed to disappear in front of my eyes. By the time I had reached the spot where the stain had been, there was nothing there. What is going on? I mumbled to myself. I headed back to the kitchen, contemplating what I had just seen and deciding that it was all in my head, an imagination due to being overtired. Once in the kitchen, I made my tea and headed back to the bedroom. Then I heard it. A different noise, one I had never heard before. It sounded as though it was coming from the basement. I put my cup of tea down on the nearest table and headed for the basement. As I got closer, the noise got louder. I grabbed the basement key off its hook and very slowly unlocked the door, turned on the light and started down the steps. The noise I had heard abruptly stopped. As I got almost halfway down the steps, I stopped. I was sure I'd just heard a loud knock coming from my front door. Who could be knocking this early? The sun was only just beginning to rise. I sighed and turned and headed back up the steps towards the front door. I reached the door and opened it. No one was there. My mind was definitely playing tricks on me due to lack of sleep. I went back to the lounge, picked up my new lukewarm tea and headed back up the stairs to my bedroom. After downing the last mouthful of tea, I dressed and headed straight back down to the basement, as I needed to find out what was making the loud noise I had heard earlier. Once dressed, I headed back downstairs into the basement, which I had left unlocked. I slowly opened the door and turned on the light before heading back down the narrow steps towards where I had heard the noise. At the bottom of the steps, I stopped and looked around. There, in one corner, sat this creepy human-sized doll, its dark eyes staring into my soul. I suddenly heard what sounded like movement coming from the area of the doll. I know it's probably just a mouse, but I wasn't waiting around to find out, especially after the strange night I had just had. I bolted up the steps, grabbing the door and slamming it behind me. I suddenly had a feeling of not being alone. I could now hear what sounded like breathing and footsteps heading toward the basement steps. I went to grab the key off its hook so I could lock the door, but it wasn't there. I had to find it. The breathing and footsteps definitely seemed to be climbing the steps. Where was that blasted key? Then I saw it, shining like a beacon, still on the lock of the door. I'm sure it hadn't been there a few minutes ago. I locked the basement door just in time as the handles seemed to start moving. When I looked again, nothing. No footsteps, breathing, or moving handle. I stood dazed. Had I imagined it all? I guess only time will tell. If you'd like a part 3, let me know, and I will do that for next year. I hope you like my stories. Please like, subscribe, and press the notification bell. It doesn't cost anything, and it helps you to know when I next post. Thanks for watching. Love to you all, and remember, you're very, very special. Bye.